Hello guys! Okay, today, how 1,000 Filipino troops fought alongside the Allied forces versus 40,000 Chinese soldiers. What a surprising title, isn't it? Yeah, I'm reacting to this video today. Well, previously I reacted to the battle between Japanese 1,000 Japanese army and 40 Filipino guerrilla. That was a quite good battle, the battle with witness and good strategy from Filipino. That was quite interesting battle. But this time, 1,000 vs 40,000 battle, so it's way different scale, much bigger scale, so it's a different story. So how are they gonna fight with this small team to fight a much bigger team? By the way, I didn't learn about this history at all, so at the moment I have absolutely no idea what's going on, but yeah, this is interesting. So right, let's get into it.
If you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new here. So, let's get into it.
In honor of those who sacrificed their lives for freedom, Masid proudly presents The Battle of Yultong, a story of how Filipino troops braved a sea of Chinese soldiers during the Korean War.
Oh,
the Korean War began.
So, yeah, is this about Korean War? Yeah, the battle between North Korea and South Korea, right? Yeah, they are still fighting nowadays. This is a really critical issue and really long war. Well, I want them to watch, I no Fujichaku. I don't know what's it called in English, but in Japanese, it's called I no Fujichaku. It's Korean love drama from Netflix. It's really good movie. Yeah, this is about love between North Korea and South Korea. So yeah.
The war began on June 25, 1950, when North Korea, backed by China and the Soviet Union, crossed the border into South Korea in an attempt to capture its capital, Seoul. In response, the United Nations Security Council, through the formation of the United Nations Command, ordered the deployment of military forces to stop the invasion. On August 7, 1950, President Elpidio Quirino, with approval from Congress, sent
Elpidio Quirino. Yeah, I didn't know he was the president of Philippines at that time. Good to know.
From Congress sent 7,420 Filipino combat troops to fight in South Korea. President Quirino saw this as a commitment to help a friend and as part of a larger battle to save the world from communism. The 10th Battalion.
I see. So I see. Yeah. Korea, Philippines, they were in a good relationship at that time. So as a democratic country, now I doubt it though.
Battalion Combat Team, the Philippine Expeditionary Forces to Korea, was the first battalion to arrive on Busan shores on September 19, 1950. The 10th Battalion, made up of 1,303 enlisted men and 64 officers, was originally a motorized battalion sent to operate tanks from the US, but when none arrived, was turned into a heavy weaponry unit instead. On the night of April 22, the 10th Battalion, as part of the US 65th Infantry Regiment of the US 3rd Infantry Division, was attacked north of Yeoncheon by a large force of Chinese and North Korean soldiers. This would be known in history as the Great Spring Offensive, one of the largest offensives by the 44th Division of the Chinese People's Volunteer Army and the Communist North Korean Army during the Korean War. In front of the Filipinos were 4 Chinese divisions, numbering about 40,000.
Wow, so yeah, Philippines were outnumbered, but normally it's a ridiculous battle. You're never gonna win. In this different situation, in this unequal situation. But what it's gonna be in the end? Let's see.
Just after midnight, the Chinese began their attack with a heavy artillery barrage. Soon after, the Chinese forces advanced, but had difficulty as the 10th Battalion successfully defended their positions with mortar and artillery.
Wow, so they had a better weapon? Whoa, that's great.
However, a massive Chinese assault pushed the Turkish brigade from their position, allowing the Chinese to surround the Filipinos' eastern side. Seeing the incoming danger, Lieutenant Colonel Junicio Ojeda immediately organized a unit of battalion cooks and clerks to fortify and defend the east flank. With the help of M24 light tanks and artillery support, Lieutenant Colonel Ojeda's makeshift unit was able to hold off the advancing Chinese forces.
Wow.
The situation only got worse when the Puerto Rican 65th Infantry Regiment, situated on the west flank, began to fall back from Chinese attack. With the west flank now exposed, the Chinese began advancing but were blocked by a platoon of Filipino soldiers situated on a hill overlooking Yultong.
I see. Shooting from the hill. That worked well. Wow, good strategy.
Commanded by Lieutenant Jose Arciaga, this platoon refused to yield and held their ground. This gave
Good
Lieutenant
work.
Arciaga's company commander, Captain Conrado Yap, enough time to mount a counterattack. The counterattack successfully extracted the trapped platoon from the hill and also stopped the Chinese from further advancing. But
see.
sadly, Lieutenant Arciaga and Captain Yap were killed during the fight.
Oh,
In the early morning of April 23, Lieutenant Colonel Ojeda led the second counterattack using M24 tanks.
M24
This caught
tanks.
the Chinese off
That's
guard
a
and pushed
big,
them away from the hill they were
yeah.
trying to seize.
Wow.
The Filipinos fought until midday before it was ordered to withdraw and link up with the rest of the division in the south. 15 Filipino soldiers died. 26 were wounded.
Oh, very
and
few.
14 were missing in action, while the Chinese and North Koreans lost around 500
Wow.
soldiers. The 10th Battalion's effort at
incredible.
Yultong allowed the U.S. 3rd Infantry Division to successfully withdraw from the battlefield, which would later on prove to turn the war in favor of the Allies.
Oh.
2 weeks later, the Communists began ceasefire negotiations after suffering more heavy losses. For the next 2 years, the Korean War was mostly battled from hilltops until a ceasefire was finally
I see.
declared.
Taking over
Out
a
of the
good strategy from the
7,420
Filipinos.
Filipino soldiers sent, 113 were killed, 313 wounded, 15 missing,
That's quite
and 41
big damage.
held as prisoners of war. Today, a monument stands inside the War Memorial of Korea in honor of the many Filipino soldiers who fought for the liberation of
Oh.
Korea. Recently, during the 69th anniversary of the Korean War, the late Captain Conrado Yap was awarded the Taiguk Medal, the highest
Taiguk
military
Medal. What's
decoration
that?
given to a soldier for bravery in combat.
Oh,
Also
really?
awarded the Taiguk Medal was fellow
Filipinos
10th
were rewarded
Battalion team
in
member
Korea.
Major Maximo
That's so
Young
honorable.
for his heroism at the Battle of Myeongdong. The efforts of the 10th Battalion in the Battle of Yultong was instrumental in turning the tide of the war in favor of the Allied forces. South Korea remains a free democracy, thanks to the contribution of soldiers like the Fighting
Filipino?
Filipinos,
Oh.
a name given by the US command to the brave men of the 10th Battalion Combat Team.
Wow, Koreans, do you guys know about this history? Yeah, Koreans, you should be proud of Filipinos. Wow. So this is about Korean War, isn't it? Yeah, I learned this history. I forgot, most of things. I remember a couple of things, but for example, this is Cold War, Long War. There were Americans and Japanese army behind South Korea, and we won in the end. That's all I know. So the knowledge is not enough. But this is interesting that there were Yultong battle, such a good battle, fantastic battle behind this war, and this victory in Yultong battle contributing to the victory of South Korea in the end. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. There were Filipinos' contributions like good strategy, scheme, efforts by Filipinos behind this war. So yeah, usually history of Philippines not really focused in the world. I think very few Japanese know about this facts. But this is really interesting facts, history. Well, this is second time to know about the big victory by Filipinos in the battle. Which makes me wonder Filipinos are really good at fighting. Is it because they're strong or just lucky? I don't know, but what do you think, guys, about it? Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it. If you do, make sure to like button and subscribe, please. So, また会おう。